They were the masters of the known world. Their legions marched from the sands of Syria to the mists of Scotland. Their word was law, their will divine. But behind the marble facades and the golden triumphs, a sickness was festering. It wasn't a plague of the body, but a plague of the mind. History calls them monsters, tyrants, madmen, men who turned the imperial palace into a slaughterhouse and a brothel. But absolute power does not just corrupt, it reveals. Tonight, we peel back the layers of myth and propaganda, from the cliffs of Capri to the sands of the Colosseum. This is the story of what happens when a human being is given the power of a god. This is the story of Rome's mad emperors. Before we descend into the madness of the Caesars, a quick request. If you share our passion for uncovering the darkest chapters of the ancient world, please subscribe and strike the notification bell. Help our legion conquer the algorithm, just as Rome conquered the world. Now, to understand the madness, we must first understand the machine. The Roman Empire was built on a lie. Its first emperor, Augustus, claimed he had restored the Republic. He called himself merely princeps, the first citizen. But in reality, he had consolidated all military, political, and religious power into the hands of one man. It was a system designed for a genius. It required a ruler of infinite patience, subtle manipulation, and tireless work ethic. Augustus was that man, but he made one fatal miscalculation. He assumed his successors would be just like him. He was wrong. The tragedy of the Roman Empire wasn't its enemies abroad, it was its succession at home. When Augustus died in 14 AD, the mask of the Republic began to slip. The man who picked it up was grim, reluctant, and already broken. His name was Tiberius. Tiberius did not want to be emperor. He was a soldier, a general who had spent his life in the mud and blood of the frontier, protecting Rome's borders. He was already 55 years old when he took the throne, a bitter, cynical man who despised the sycophancy of the Senate. Historians describe him as tristissimus monimus, the gloomiest of men. At first, he tried to govern responsibly. He refused titles. He balanced the budget. But the Senate, terrified of his power, refused to act without his command. They forced him into the role of an autocrat. And then, the paranoia set in. Tiberius revived the Maestas laws, the law of treason. Under the Republic, treason meant betraying the state. Under Tiberius, treason could mean anything. A criticism of the emperor? Treason. Mishandling a coin with his image? Treason. Rome became a city of whispers. Informers, known as delatores, lurked in every shadow, ready to accuse their neighbors, to seize their property. The purge had begun. In 26 AD, disgusted by Rome and fearful of assassination, Tiberius did the unthinkable. He abandoned the capital. He retreated to the island of Capri, leaving the day-to-day running of the empire to his ruthless praetorian prefect Sejanus. Isolated on his island fortress, the emperor's behavior reportedly descended into depravity.
The year was 37 AD. The tyrant Tiberius was dead. Rome did not just breathe a sigh of relief, it exploded with joy. The new emperor, Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, affectionately known by his childhood nickname Caligula or Little Boot, was everything Tiberius was not. He was young, just 24. He was the son of the beloved General Germanicus. In his first months, he was a model ruler. He recalled exiles. He burned the records of the treason trials. He threw lavish games for the people. For 7 months, it seemed Rome had entered a new golden age. But then, the fever came. In October of that same year, Caligula fell violently ill. For weeks, the empire held its vigil. When he finally recovered, the body was the same, but the mind had shattered. The man who woke up was no longer the Little Boot. He was a living nightmare. The mask of sanity had slipped, revealing a narcissism so profound it challenged the gods themselves. His madness began with the impossible. The astrologer Thrasyllus had once predicted that Caligula had no more chance of becoming emperor than on riding a horse across the Bay of Baiae. Caligula took that as a challenge. He ordered thousands of merchant ships to be anchored together, creating a floating bridge over 3 miles long. He covered it with earth and rode across it for 2 days, wearing the armor of Alexander the Great. It was a spectacular display of power and a catastrophic waste of resources that triggered a famine in Rome. But Caligula didn't care. He wasn't just an emperor anymore. He began to dress as the gods. One day he was Hercules with a club, the next Venus in silk. He ordered the heads removed from the statues of the gods and replaced with his own likeness. He stood in the temple of Castor and Pollux, demanding to be worshipped. If Tiberius was a recluse, Caligula was a performer, and his favorite audience was the Senate. He humiliated them for sport. He forced high-ranking senators to run alongside his chariot in their togas for miles. He invited them to dinner, only to burst into sudden manic laughter. When asked why he laughed, he replied chillingly, "I was just thinking that with a single wave of my hand, I could have all your throats cut." And then there was Incitatus, his favorite horse. Legend says he gave the beast a marble stall, an ivory manger, and servants. He planned to make the horse a consul, the highest political office in Rome. But was this truly madness, or was it the ultimate insult? Modern historians argue that Caligula wasn't necessarily insane when he proposed Incitatus for consul. He was making a point. He was telling the senators, "This job is so meaningless and you are so useless that even my horse could do it better than you." The same logic applies to his famous war on the sea. The story goes that he marched his legions to the English Channel to invade Britain, but then ordered them to stab the waves and collect seashells as plunder from the ocean. A sign of insanity? Perhaps.
Or perhaps it was a punishment for a legion that had refused to fight, humiliating them by forcing them to gather shells like children. Whether it was satire or psychosis, the result was the same: terror. His motto became oderent dum metuant, let them hate so long as they fear. But fear has a breaking point. By 41 AD, Caligula had exhausted the treasury and the patience of the Praetorian Guard. A conspiracy formed, led by Cassius Chaerea, a veteran soldier whom Caligula had mocked relentlessly for his pitched-high voice. On January 24th, during the Palatine Games, Caligula took a shortcut through the underground tunnels. Chaerea and the conspirators were waiting. The first blow struck his shoulder. Caligula cried out, not for help, but in shock. The conspirators descended like wolves. 30 times they stabbed him. The living god bled out on the cold stone floor alone in the dark. They didn't stop there. They killed his wife. They killed his infant daughter. They wanted to erase his bloodline from the earth. In the chaos, the Praetorian guards looted the palace. One soldier noticed a pair of feet sticking out from behind a heavy curtain. He pulled back the fabric, expecting another victim. Instead, he found a trembling, stammering young man. It was Claudius, Caligula's uncle, the fool of the family, the one everyone had ignored. The soldiers didn't kill him. They hailed him as emperor. Rome had survived the mad god. But the seed of madness was deep in the bloodline. For in the wings, another child was growing up. A nephew of Caligula, a boy who loved art and fire. His name was Nero, and he would finish what Caligula started. To understand Nero, you must understand the woman who made him. Agrippina the Younger, sister of Caligula, wife of Claudius, mother of Nero. She was the most powerful woman in Roman history, and her ambition knew no bounds. She married her uncle, Emperor Claudius, and convinced him to adopt her son, Nero, over his own biological heir. Once the succession was secured, Claudius conveniently died. The rumor, a plate of poisoned mushrooms served by her loving wife. In 54 AD, Nero ascended the throne. He was only 16 years old. At first, it seemed perfect. Guided by the philosopher Seneca, Nero reduced taxes and banned capital punishment. But there was a problem. The boy didn't want to rule, and his mother didn't want to let go. Nero grew to hate her. Her controlling grip suffocated him. He realized that as long as she lived, he would never truly be emperor. So he planned the unthinkable, matricide. First, he tried to be subtle. He gifted her a collapsible boat designed to fall apart at sea. It worked, but Agrippina, tough as nails, swam to shore. Subtlety was over. Nero sent assassins to her villa. When the centurion drew his sword, Agrippina didn't beg. She tore open her robe, pointed to her womb, the womb that had borne him, and commanded, "Smite my belly." With her death, the last restraint on Nero was gone. The artist was unleashed. Nero didn't want to be a general. He wanted to be a star. He wrote poetry, he raced chariots, he played the lyre. To the Roman elite, this was humiliating. Actors were considered social outcasts on the same level as prostitutes. Yet here was the emperor, forcing the Senate to watch him perform for hours. No one was allowed to leave while Nero sang. Historians tell us that women gave birth in the theater, and men shammed death just to be carried out so they could escape his recitals. But the comedy was about to turn into a tragedy. On the night of July 18th, 64 AD, a fire broke out in the shops near the Circus Maximus. Fanned by strong winds, it became a firestorm. For 6 days and 7 nights, Rome burned. 10 of Rome's 14 districts were destroyed. The ancient temples, the loot of centuries of conquest, gone. And amidst the ash, a rumor spread like wildfire. Nero had ordered the burning. The people whispered that while the city screamed, Nero stood on his balcony, playing his fiddle and singing. First, let's kill the myth. Nero did not play the fiddle. The violin wouldn't be invented for another 1,500 years. If he played anything, it was the lyre. Second, according to the historian Tacitus, Nero wasn't even in Rome. He was at Antium, 30 miles away. When he heard the news, he rushed back. He opened his palaces to the homeless. He paid for food from his own pocket. He acted like a hero. However, suspicion returned when the smoke cleared. Nero used the cleared land to build the most extravagant palace in history, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House, a pleasure dome in the center of the city, complete with a 100-foot bronze statue of himself. The people looked at the palace, then at their ruined homes, and asked, "Did he burn us out to make room for this?" Nero needed a scapegoat. He found one in a small, secretive religious sect known as the Christians. To deflect the blame, he unleashed a punishment that shocked even the bloodthirsty Romans. He didn't just execute them, he turned them into decorations. Tacitus writes that Christians were covered in wild beast skins and torn apart by dogs. Others were dipped in tar, tied to stakes, and set on fire to serve as nightlights for Nero's garden parties. As the human torches burned, Nero rode his chariot among the guests, dressed as a charioteer, basking in the glow of agony. But you cannot rule by fire forever. In 68 AD, the governors revolted. The Senate declared Nero an enemy of the state. Abandoned by his guards, betrayed by his friends, the artist of fire fled to a villa outside Rome. He could hear the hoofbeats of the approaching cavalry. He knew what awaited him, a public execution, yet he couldn't bring himself to strike the final blow. He forced his secretary to help him push the dagger into his throat. His last words were not of regret for the city he burned or the mother he killed. They were a lament for his art. Quales artifex pereo? What an artist dies in me. The historian Cassius Dio, who lived through this era, wrote a chilling epitaph for the year 180 AD. Our history now descends from a kingdom of gold to one of iron and rust. For 80 years, Rome had enjoyed the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Rulers were chosen for their merit, not just their blood. The 5 good emperors ruled with wisdom. The last of them was the philosopher king, Marcus Aurelius. But Marcus made one fatal mistake. He didn't adopt a worthy heir.
he chose his son. Lucius alias Aurelius Commodus, born in the purple. He was 19 years old, spoiled, athletic, and intellectually empty. He had no interest in borders or budgets. He only cared about one thing: applause. Commodus didn't just want to be an emperor, he wanted to be a superhero. He became obsessed with the demigod Hercules. He began to dress in lion skins and carry a massive wooden club. He demanded the Senate declare him the reincarnation of Hercules. His megalomania made Caligula look humble. He renamed the months of the year after his own titles. August became Commodus. October became Herculeus. He even renamed Rome itself. The Eternal City was now Colonia Commodiana, the colony of Commodus. The Roman legions became the Commodian army. The Senate became the Commodian Senate. He was branding the entire empire with his own name. But renaming the city wasn't enough. He craved the adrenaline of the arena. Emperors often sponsored games. They never fought in them. It was considered a disgrace, a taboo beneath the dignity of a ruler. Commodus shattered that taboo. He entered the Colosseum not as a ruler, but as a gladiator, a secutor. He boasted of 620 victories, but these were not fair fights. He slaughtered exotic animals from the safety of a raised platform. He decapitated ostriches with crescent-headed arrows, laughing as they ran around headless. He killed lions, leopards, and elephants. When he fought men, it was a farce. His opponents were often given wooden weapons or were already wounded. They knew the script: submit or die. And for this bravery, he charged the Roman treasury 1,000,000 sestertii for every appearance, bankrupting the state to pay for his own hobby. Most of us know Commodus through the movie Gladiator, but the truth is stranger and darker than Hollywood. In the movie, Commodus kills his father. Fact: Marcus Aurelius likely died of the plague, smallpox, with Commodus by his side. In the movie, he dies in a duel in the arena. Fact: Commodus never died in the Colosseum. The Romans would have never allowed their emperor to be killed publicly like that. And the movie left out his cruelest act. Historians record that Commodus gathered citizens of Rome who had lost their feet to disease or war. He tied them together in the center of the arena, dressed them as mythical serpents, and clubbed them to death, pretending they were giants. This wasn't combat, it was extermination for amusement. By 92 AD, Rome had had enough. Commodus announced that for New Year's Day he would not appear as emperor. He would march to the Senate dressed as a gladiator, accompanied by the scum of the fighting pits. It was the final insult. His inner circle knew they were next on his hit list. His mistress, Marcia, and his chamberlain decided to strike first. On New Year's Eve, Marcia brought him a cup of poisoned wine after his bath. He drank it. He felt dizzy, but Commodus had a stomach of iron. He vomited the poison up. The conspirators panicked. If he survived the night, they were all dead men walking. They turned to their plan B, Narcissus. Narcissus was Commodus's personal wrestling partner, a man of immense physical strength. He entered the bathroom where the emperor was trying to recover. There were no guards, no legions, just two men in the steam. Narcissus didn't need a weapon.
He wrapped his massive hands around the emperor's throat and squeezed. The Roman Hercules, the man who killed 1,000 beasts, was strangled to death in his own bathtub. The Senate declared him damnatio memoriae, condemned from memory. His statues were smashed, his name chiseled off the walls. But with Commodus dead, the stability of Rome died too. The Praetorian Guard realized something dangerous. They held the power. They didn't just pick the next emperor, they auctioned the throne to the highest bidder. The Pax Romana was over. The crisis of the 3rd century had begun, and soon the madness would return in the form of a teenage priest who worshipped a black stone. After the murder of Commodus, Rome bled. The throne was auctioned, seized, and fought over. But amidst the civil wars, a powerful family from Syria, the Severans, seized control. And from the shadows of the harem emerged a figure unlike any Rome had ever seen. His name was Varius Avitus Bassianus. History knows him as Elagabalus. He was just 14 years old. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a politician. He was a high priest of the Syrian sun god, Elagal. In 219 AD, he entered Rome. The citizens watched in stunned silence. They were used to emperors in iron armor. They got a teenager in purple silk, wearing tiaras, dancing to the beat of cymbals. But the strangest sight was what he brought with him. A massive, conical black stone, a meteorite he claimed was the sun god himself. Rome was a tolerant empire, but it had rules. You could worship your own gods as long as you respected Jupiter and the Roman pantheon. Elagabalus didn't just disrespect Jupiter, he evicted him. He built a massive temple, the Elagabalium, on the Palatine Hill. He declared his black stone the supreme deity of the empire. He forced high-ranking senators, men who had commanded legions, to dress in flowing robes and dance around the altar while he sacrificed cattle and sheep. The proud Roman Senate had become a choir for a teenage priest. But religious upheaval was just the beginning. Elagabalus wanted to merge his god with Rome's most sacred traditions. He set his eyes on the Vestal Virgins. The Vestals were the holy guardians of Rome's eternal fire. Their vow of chastity was so sacred that breaking it meant being buried alive. Elagabalus didn't just touch a Vestal, he married one. He took Aquilia Severa, a high priestess, as his wife. He claimed their union would produce godlike children. To the Romans, this wasn't a marriage. It was a cosmic crime. It was spiritual rape. Inside the palace, the behavior was even more shocking. Ancient historians like Cassius Dio describe Elagabalus as a ruler who completely rejected Roman gender norms. He shaved his body, wore makeup, and donned wigs. Reports claim he would wander the taverns of Rome at night, disguised as a female prostitute, selling himself to strangers. He famously asked his physicians to perform a surgery to give him female genitalia, offering half the empire to anyone who could succeed. To modern scholars, Elagabalus looks different. Was he mad? Or was he perhaps history's first recorded transgender figure on a throne? To the conservative, macho culture of Rome, his behavior was seen as the ultimate weakness and depravity. But looking back, we might see a teenager struggling with identity in a world that had no language for it. However, his cruelty was very real. Elagabalus had a twisted sense of humor. At one lavish dinner party, he decided to play a prank. He released the catch on a false ceiling. Tons of violets and rose petals cascaded down. At first, the guests cheered at the beauty and the scent, but the petals didn't stop. They piled up, knee-deep, waist-deep, chest-deep. The guests, drunk and confused, couldn't move. They were trapped in a fragrant tomb. History tells us that several courtiers suffocated to death, smothered by beauty. The emperor sat on the dais and laughed. The real power behind the throne, his grandmother Julia Maesa, realized his grandson was a liability. The Praetorian Guard was grumbling. The people were rioting. She made a cold calculation. To save the dynasty, the boy had to die. On March 11th, 222 AD, the Praetorian Guards turned. They hunted the 18-year-old emperor through the palace. He was found hiding in a latrine, clutching his mother. There was no trial. They beheaded him. They stripped his body naked and dragged it through the streets of Rome like a dead dog. Finally, to ensure his spirit would never find rest, they threw his corpse into the Tiber River, the sewer of Rome. The black stone was sent back to the desert. The name Elagabalus was erased. The madness seemed to end, but the damage to the soul of Rome was permanent. From Tiberius to Elagabalus, we have seen the depths of human depravity. But what connects these men? Is it just madness or something else? Caligula, Nero, Commodus Elagabalus. Historians have spent centuries asking, why? Why did so many Roman rulers descend into madness? Was it simply a coincidence? Or was there a hidden killer lurking in the palaces? One theory points to a silent assassin, lead. The Romans loved lead. They used it in their makeup, their aqueducts, and their cookware. They even boiled sour wine in lead pots to create a sweetener called sapa, or sugar of lead, which the emperors consumed by the liter. Symptoms of lead poisoning? Gout, paranoia, and erratic, violent behavior. Did the very water they drank and the wine they toasted with fry the neural pathways of the world's most powerful men? Or was it the blood itself? The Julio-Claudian dynasty was an intricate web of incest. Cousins married cousins, nieces married uncles. To keep the power in the family, they destroyed their own genetic diversity. Physical deformities, mental instability, and emotional volatility were the inevitable price of a pure bloodline. But biology is only half the story. The true source of the madness wasn't in the wine or the blood. It was in the throne. Rome created a system where one man was the law, the judge, the general, and the god. Imagine being told from birth that you are divine. Imagine that no one, absolutely no one, can say no to you without facing death. In such a world, the boundary between fantasy and reality dissolves. Whim becomes law. Nightmare becomes policy. They were not just madmen. They were the victims of absolute power. And as they unraveled, they pulled the greatest empire on earth down into the abyss with them. The madness of the emperors didn't end the empire overnight. Rome was too strong for that. It limped on for another 2 centuries, but the trust was broken. The Senate was neutered. The army became mercenaries. The moral foundation of the eternal city had rotted away. History teaches us that empires do not die by murder. They die by suicide. They are destroyed from within by leaders who mistake their own ego for the will of the state. The mad emperors are long dead, but their warning echoes through the ages. Now I turn the judgment over to you. We've looked at the cruelty of Caligula, the vanity of Nero, the brutality of Commodus, and the taboos of Elagabalus. Who do you think was the true mad emperor? Was it the one who killed for sport, or the one who killed for art? Cast your vote in the comments below. The most compelling argument might just be pinned to the top of the legion. If you survived this journey into the heart of darkness, prove your loyalty to the Legion. Subscribe and ring the bell. We have many more secrets of the ancient world to uncover, from the brilliance of Caesar to the tragedy of Sparta. For now, the gates of the palace are closing, but history never sleeps. I'll see you in the next era.